Welcome back to the page where I'm simply going to answer questions that people asked in the comments, and then people are going to get upset about it. About a week ago, I asked for people to ask questions, to do an Ask Me Anything, and we'll do a long-form video like this. And I'm not going to be able to get to all of them. I got about 800 comments or so. So if you asked a question I didn't get to it, oh well. From On Station, what was the first moment you realized that you had real talent? Well, right away, obviously. And could make a living with cards. When I was 7 years old, my brother showed me a trick and he cut 4 jacks out of the deck. And I remember thinking, how much money do we made here? So it's always just, it was fun for me when I was a kid. But when I was in my early 20s, I decided that I would make some money on the side doing this. I had toured for 11 years as a musician. Quit the band and realized, said, hey, you know what, let me see if I can make a little bit more money doing this. And then when I wrote my first book in 2013, that's when I decided that having income from book sales, I was fine. How many decks of cards are on your shelf? Back here about 2,000 or so. Total number, probably around 15 to 20K. People ask, why do I need so many decks of cards? I perform nonstop, so I'm constantly doing shows and giving away the cards when I finish performing. If you've been to a show, you know how many decks of cards I go through. And then, of course, I sell decks of cards as well, the Apollo decks. So I have a lot. How many cards do I have? Yes, that's the answer. From Chance, favorite cigar? The Padron Anniversary Series, the 26 or the 64. That's the Cadillac of cigars. From Them Apples, what do you find annoying about other magicians? Everything. Everything. The bar to become a magician is so low. It means like go online and buy like a $5 trick or something like that on the internet, and suddenly you feel like you're a magician and you have the right to talk theory. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So yeah, the majority of magicians are not very good. And therefore, I find them rather annoying. NateFly5, what has been the hardest trick for you to master? That would be convincing stupid people in the comments section that it's not edited. I mean, think about the business model for a second. I'm editing videos so I can get shows that I can't do. Okay. From Elvis Tango, if a song played every time you walked in a room, what would it be? Hold On, I'm Coming by Sam and Dave. From Dale, where did your passion from cards come from? I don't know exactly. When my brother showed me that trick, I kind of fell in love with a deck of cards, but the drive to continue working on it for the next 40 years, I can't explain that honestly, but I mean, I've made a career out of it. I enjoy, still practice. I don't burn out. I just constantly think about it. Jerry Seinfeld talked about how it's like he just cannot turn it off. You wake up every morning and all day long you're writing down ideas or thoughts. It's like a prison, right? But he's comfortable with it. And I'm the same way. I feel like I just want to constantly innovate, practice, work, get better. So it just doesn't get old for me. What is my favorite scotch? That's impossible to answer. The short answer is if it's 250, 300 bucks and up, 15, 18 years and up, single malt, it's probably going to be one of my favorites. M. Leighton Taylor says, how much of this is persona and how much of this is the real Jason Ledani? Well, my good friend Tony Cabral, who's an amazing card magician out of Boston, says that when I'm on stage, that's the toned down version of the real Jason Ledani. I'll let you do with that as you please. Is the Jason derangement syndrome a social media thing, or have you always triggered people with the slightest hand gesture? Social media is like the Wild West. You can say whatever you want with zero repercussions, right? So these poor people, like the internet is a bottomless pit of stupid people that want to sound like an expert in any craft. So they come onto the page and offer suggestions, or this is what you did, or you're not that good, or whatever. And then I have to remind them that no, you're wrong because of X, Y, Z, or whatever. And then they get triggered there because who am I? Who am I to tell them what I'm doing? And that really triggers people. So that's just baked into the internet. And you know what? I'm here for it. What's your favorite city to perform in? I got to say, that's another impossible question to answer because they're all fantastic. Every time I come into a city, it has its own thing to offer. I go into these amazing cities, eat amazing food, perform, meet these people. It's a fantastic experience. So everything is fine, except for any place in Ohio. Maybe someone says, how many decks of cards do I travel with? I travel with about a brick per show. If you don't know what a brick is, that's 12. And of course, the TSA has a real problem with that every time. Why do you have so many cards with you? Playing poker? From Etch Sketcher, what's the story with the model car looks like a Mustang on the shelf behind you? Yes, it is a Mustang. I remember when I was writing my second book, I told my brother that when I finished that book, I'm going to buy myself a Mustang. And he said, no, I'll buy one for you. And then for my birthday, he bought me that. From Jack Haskins 72, I know nobody is as good as you. I mean, do I need to even continue reading your question? Can you spot someone that does the stuff that you do? I've sat across from these people. There's a handful, there's like less than 20 people in the world that can do super advanced card work. And if they're that good, you can't see it. It's designed to be completely invisible. So there's no like, ooh, I caught that. It's designed to be invisible. So you can't see it. And that's why I enjoy doing this stuff on the internet, because you can't see it. So when people say, oh, I saw that, my answer is always, the fuck you did. Fireman AA says, how lethal are you in a game of Uno? I fucking hate Uno. I cannot stand that game. I still have PTSD from being down to like 2 cards and then drawing like 500 cards, and I never want to play that game again. Luke Stevenson, 97, have you ever used your skills to win money in games? Well, Luke, I certainly didn't learn all this stuff over the last 40 years to make Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts. Neil Pipkin says, if I send you my store t-shirt, will you wear it in one of your videos? Yes. If that shirt is made out of $1 million, I will. All right, those were all questions from Instagram. Not too bad. Not too bad. Normal people, normal questions. Let's move one notch down to TikTok and see what we have over here. From Mark, how long did it take you to master the waterfall catch? Based on where I lived at the time, it was about 2007, 2008 or so when I thought of the idea. And then I was able to do it reliably around 2014 or so. That's when it appears on my YouTube channel to begin with. 2014 is the first time I published it on the internet. And then I felt comfortable doing that live around 2016 or so is when I first put that into my show. So yeah, it took about 9 or 10 years to be able to catch a playing card. Brian says, have you ever been nervous while performing card tricks for anyone? Not really, because that's my normal environment. I've been doing it my entire life. So no, because I'm used to it. And I enjoy that environment. When I'm on stage or whatever, I feel most comfortable there. A different Brian says, do you ever come to Canada? Yes, I've performed there several times, mostly private events. I did a book tour through Canada back in 2018 or so. Yes, we're actually talking to a handful of different venues in Toronto, waiting for them to get back to us. But if you're asking, I'll probably come to the question eventually, but we're working on shows in Toronto, we're working on shows in London, and we're working on shows in Australia right now. But it's all logistics and getting the dates right and things like that. So just be patient and we'll be there. From Sean, what is the hardest thing with cards that you had to learn? Honestly, the bottom deal, false dealing. The bottom deal, the second deal, and the center deal, very, very difficult. Like 3, 4, 5 years before you even start to see some results. And then it's just refinement after that. And then after you learn it, you're not done. You have to constantly maintain. So all of the false deals, I would say, are the most difficult.